And in very many ritual worship ceremonies, it is usual for us to invite the support of our ancestors. And it is done in this way. It is now a pitiful place. The chant has become a dirge. When eyes are two, they watch events unfold. When legs are two, they walk with fast treading. When the buttocks are two, they sit evenly on a mat. One hand does not jingle. Also, one leg will not walk with a fast treading and make a pounding sound. We are called differently. I am asked to kneel and greet those before us. I knelt and greeted those before us. I am asked to kneel and call on those behind us. I knelt and called on those behind us. They asked, who are those before one? I say, it is one's ancestors that are before one. They ask, who are those behind? I say, it is the Orishas in one's paternal household that are behind one. When Alap and Deli, the Ethiopian swallow, builds its nest, it is suspended in the sky, neither touching the sea nor heaven. Looking at Olodumare in heaven, looking at the humans on earth, Atanje Gere, the son of Alanashe, whose father died when he was a little child, without passing on the knowledge of who he was to him. He never knew how to cast Ifa, never knew how to print Odu, and he had not been to any Ifa festivals. When all the ritual elements were gathered, he started to cry, saying he did not know if water was to be added first. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success for us. Whether it was palm oil to be offered first, he did not know. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success. Whether it was Oti to be offered first, he did not know. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success for us. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success for us. Whether it was Obi to be offered first, he did not know. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success for us. Ancestors, heavenly spirits, descend and make this ritual a success for us. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And invite Baba Pulalis.
Father of transformation, Father of transformation, child who is transformed by death, seeks the marketplace of perfection. Praise to those who speak with the secret voice of the ancestors. Spirit of death, your children offer you food. Your living children are graceful for the blessings of life. Father of good fortune, we thank you for the blessings of life. May it be so.
Let us pray for the elevation of the deceased. We know when we arrived on this earth plane that we came from Orun, the heavenly place. We also know that we are only here for an allotted time. We know that earth is the marketplace and our room is our home. We know we are here at all times to make this a better place. We know we came to fulfill our destiny. We are asking that in the course of the life of our brother, that he would have recognized these facts, and in so doing would have pursued his life destiny's path in earnest, and we trust that at this time that he would have succeeded in fulfilling his destiny. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Hail, Spirit of transformation. Olu Sinu Abono Ifayomi, who has gone. Ifayomi has gone today. We cannot find him. Hail, Spirit of transformation. We went to the market. They are not in the market. We go into the streets, and they are not in the streets. We go into his house. They are not in the house. Neither shall we see them again. They have become disembodied spirits to be met at the bypass. May it be so. Ashe. Ashe. To lead prayers, special ancestral prayers that are spoken by the females.
Praise, praise, praise. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mother, mother, mother. The very mother, the very mother, the very mother. Hail to the chiefs of mothers, the mighty and awesome queen. She who bathed in gin like the forgotten men. She who takes tolerance when the evil doers has been forgotten. She who can never be guilty when she takes action. I give praise. I said, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Olodumare, Mother, Father, Supreme Being, Sustainer of the universe, you who bequeathed mankind with this system of Ifa to guide us. We give praise and we give thanks this day. We give praise for the brother that you have sent to us for this allotted time. We have come to know him. We have come to love him. We have come to learn from him. Now we have come to celebrate his life, his purpose for being. Even while we mourn him, we pray for his offspring, that they may be consoled in this period of mourning. We hope they never lose sight of the fact of the strength and courage of this man who has contributed, and what he has contributed. Let the good deeds of this man be kept alive and serve us well as we strive towards immortality. Ashe. 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 Please. Go ahead. we'd like to invite people participation. And in this segment, we would appreciate the presentation of the family eulogy, and also invite other individuals and representatives of groups who may wish to say something. Ashim?
Alafia. Before I go into the eulogy, I'll just briefly introduce myself. My name is Fayola, and I am his adopted daughter. Okay? We are here today not to mourn, but to celebrate a life. Some of you may know him as the mighty composer, or brother composer, Baba composer. In the Orisha community, he is known as Awisi, Olu, Sino, Amono, Ifayomi. He would often refer to his given name as his slave name, Fred Mitchell. I personally knew him as Baba, which in Yoruba means father. In preparation for this eulogy, I spoke with a number of close friends and confidants, and was surprised by the number of accomplishments he had amassed over the years. From national awards to various accolades bestowed upon him by a number of organizations, both national and international. I mean, he truly was a man of many talents, and a man who wore many hats. But I'm not here to speak about that. I'm here to speak about what impressed me the most, the legacy he left, and what few of you may know. I'm here to speak about his unrelenting work towards the attainment of Iwapele, good character. My Baba got his first taste of African traditional religion at the early age of 15 years old. Visiting an Orisha yard in Cedrus, with the village that he is originally from. I believe that experience was instrumental in propelling his search for self-identity and spirituality. Whenever he was asked what was his profession, he would be very careful to make the distinction. I am an entertainer. Not only a calypsonian, he was a chorus singer, a ballroom dancer, a master of ceremonies extraordinaire, a tent manager, amongst many other things. As a Calypsonian, he was very proud of the fact that he had written and composed everything he had ever sang. He was given the sobriquet, the mighty composer. And a mighty composer he was. Songs like Black Fallacy, Workers' Lament, Attack with Full Force, and True or Lie are some of his works that were composed with careful thought and precision, causing many that listened to reflect on the challenges that we face as a people. Some of my fondest memories of my Baba is him performing. He was proud of his craft, he was theatric, and would easily provoke laughter from the audience with his stagecraft and amusing antics. While performing classics such as Waste Talent and Child Training, who can remember how he would dance? Yeah? Who remembers that? I remember observing him with awe and admiration. How my Baba would just transform on the stage and capture the audience's attention from start to finish. I'd glance around the audience, amazed by how many people knew every word of his songs. The pleased faces of the public, fans who were always eager to greet him after he came off the stage, as he came off the stage. It was nothing short of incredible to me. At home, the Baba I knew was a stern father. He was a stickler for doing things the correct way, following protocol, exercising diplomacy. Bookwork, as he would call it, came first and foremost. If you came second in a test, he would question you as to why you didn't come first. He wanted the best for not only his children, but also other young people around him. He was a mentor. He would bring the neighborhood children together, using sport as a means. He was an avid cricketer and enjoyed all sports. This was how the Barataria Ball Players Sport and Cultural Club was formed. This club is now known not only locally, but also internationally. He was a true visionary. I can stand here and speak about the long list of organizations he either co-founded or was an instrumental member of. TANA, Traditional African National Association, TUCO, Emancipation Support Committee, African Association for Advancement, to name just a few. But I'd rather speak about who he was and what he meant to me. I am Baba's adopted daughter, as I mentioned before. I was a 7-month premature baby. I was sickly and no one believed I would survive. Not even my parents. Baba offered to adopt me along with his wife, because according to him, he was moving with a mysterious spirit, and he knew that if I were to have a fighting chance in this world, it would be under his care and tutelage. And he was right. I cannot even, if I wanted to, imagine how my life would have been without his guidance, her nurturing, his training. Baba was unrelenting and meticulous in my upbringing. He didn't want me to simply have an African name. He wanted to ensure that my name was in alignment with my destiny, and so a divination and a naming ceremony was conducted. And this is how I am now known as Fayola Abiola Dayo. I have never had meat in my life, because Baba had learned through his readings that it was not good for my spirituality nor my body. He felt that traditional education lacked our history, African history. So after school each day, we would have African study sessions, and that became our time. At times, he would even place more emphasis on African studies than traditional learning. At times, I found it to be tedious and often questioned myself as to its validity. It was only as I got older I understood the value of it and the gold mine of knowledge that was given to me. He would often tell me, Fayola, you are different. You are not like the rest, and so you do not have the luxury of behaving like the rest. The pressure was great, and he always had very high expectations of not only me, but all those he chose to interact with. And this has made me into the person I am today. As his youngest son, Ricky, would put it, there was a method to his madness. The curse of a true visionary. Oftentimes, they do things that seem extreme or even unnecessary. It is only after, in some cases, years after, that we are able to see the true value. His wife remembers him as a private person, humorous, loving. Baba had a way with words. Some of the things that has stuck with us, his children, are wise people speak when they have something to say. Fools speak just to say something. Always expect the unexpected. Don't ask, why me? Ask, why not me? Alas, Awisi Olu Sino Amono Ifayomi was a mere mortal, imperfect as we all tended to be. But he dedicated most of his life to the constant search for knowledge and upliftment. He saw himself as a constant work in progress. When he was initiated, his family and close friends started seeing a constant evolution in his character. He identified less and less
delights with the flashy lifestyle of an entertainer. His form of dress changed. He wore only white. He became humble. He grew his beard. He started leading a more simple lifestyle. He started to listen more and became more understanding and compassionate. Most people are born, live their lives, and die without ever transforming into a higher self. Most people are born, live their lives, and die without ever understanding, much less fulfilling, what they were put on this earth to do. Most people are born and live their lives and die without ever acknowledging the error of their ways. Those who know him can attest to the fact that Awisi Olusino Amono Ifayomi was not one of those people. 9 years ago, he single-handedly pioneered the Aisun Ominira, a night vigil that has been held on the night before the Emancipation Day holiday, because he believed that Africans were not in their houses sleeping on the night before the Emancipation Proclamation. They would have been afraid. They would have been praying, dancing, singing, chanting, doing anything other than sleeping. It was his mission to make this a recurring event. Baba truly was a father to many. He always grasped at the opportunity to impart knowledge and wisdom. One fine example of this would be him imparting an introduction to Yoruba class at the Southern Emancipation Support Committee. As I said before, he was a visionary and pivotal contributor to the Orisha community and Trinbago as a whole. And so, to end with some words of wisdom from my Baba, and I quote, "We, African people, were born to win, but we have been programmed to lose. We must identify this program and deal with it accordingly." Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Invite further participation from the audience. I'm going to appreciate brevity. Thank you.
My name is Baba Ifafunminari, and I here at this moment briefly on behalf of the Orisha Council of Elders of Trinidad. few Sundays ago, I had the privilege of speaking with Baba. We see from Fayome and the presence of Ia, and I reaffirmed him what was close to his heart for many years. The coming together of all the Orishas, followers, devotees, shrines, and ilays under one roof, one head, one leader. The coming declaration of a public holiday for Orisha and African spirituality in Trinidad and Tobago. The granting of lands for the Orisha community to have their own African spiritual park, Orisha. Schools, when I say that in plural, schools, the African children, that we too could be celebrated in the newspapers and in the media, and then we'll see who could win more scholarships. The time is coming, we are putting things in place for a final meeting to be held to elect, and you know how this to be done, Babala Orisha and Ia Orisha of Trinidad and Tobago. So when that call is God, all leaders, shrine heads, everybody will come to make sure this is done properly. Final reconstitution of the present council, because many of us is passing on. So when you are called and asked to participate, there is no time to say no. You're putting things in place for the rearrangement of the Constitution and Board of Governors of the Council of Elders and a new administration. So when we go to the Prime Minister, because he has sent out word to us to put things in place. I said to him, the President of his wife, a couple of months ago, this time we will not fail. It will be done correctly. Baba, we will not let you down. We'll do it right this time. And on behalf of the Council of Elders, we say thank you for all that you have done in this place. Sure.
To each and everyone. I am a Kendi brother, and I was asked by the family to bring tribute to Baba Olusinio Amudu Ifayomi. Baba, I was asked to bring tribute by the family for Baba Olusinio Amudu Ifayomi, fondly known as Mighty Composer, slave name Fred Mitchell. My name is Akende Rudder, for those who didn't hear before. Baba Ifayomi and I spent a lot of time together, and he's sharing a lot of his thoughts. That is why it was asked that I do this tribute, because we have had a lot of conversation. And last night, putting this note together, I looked in my book, because whenever we have a conversation, he would say, "Did you write it down?" And when I looked in the book I saw where the last note that he gave me to write down was on the 20th of the 11th month, 2018. So that's why we were chatting in the hospital again. Baba, one of his dreams in his times is that for him to return to Barataria. His love for being in Barataria and the people in Barataria was unwavering. So that is one of the wishes that he had deeply, that when he returned to Barataria was one of the wishes that he fulfilled. I am going to say his thoughts to his family, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. He had an undying love for each and every one of them. It was always a love that he worked very hard to maintain. And we all know we are not perfect people, but we try the best with what we have. He tried to raise his family as an asset to the community and to Trinidad and Tobago, and not a liability. He had a special place in his heart for his wife. He would say, I'm her only husband. I'm the only husband she ever had. He felt very proud of you. I want to say here, if he haven't said it enough to you, he had loved you dearly. He had loved the loyalty and the honor and the respect that you give to him. And he had the gratitude for your patience, for your endurance, because we know after 60 years of continuous relationship, you also should get an award. It's no easy road, but you stood the test of time. He really appreciates you and all gratitude for all that you have done for him over the years. To his sibling, especially Raymond. Raymond is the man of business. He would say, Akende, Raymond is the man of business. He loved the way his family was brought up, that they always look out for each other. And when there is something that is happening, there would be a family meeting, and he would say, you gotta get Raymond. And to all his brothers and sisters and all his extended family that I would not know everybody, I am just relaying his thoughts that he might not say to you. Most of the time, we don't say things to our families for whatever reason. But each and every member of his family that had anything to do with him or did with him, for him, or together with him, he truly, truly have his most gratitude. And if he didn't say thank you, he is saying thank you now. To the place that he spent most of his time and energy in the early days, pioneering Calypso organization, which morphed into Tuku, which he has served at one time as president in the Calypso Association and Tuku, his fond memories with all of his colleagues, but was disappointed for the lack of respect for the elder Calypsonians, the value of a music that was just shown at events, especially at funerals, and you hear it a lot on radios. Lack of value for the history of every event in Trinidad and Tobago. You can find a Calypso addressing the issue. That creativity almost lost. When last the Calypsonian addressed serious issues with the language, creativity, and craft of our icons?
Long time.
Awesi Ifayomi embraced his spiritual tradition, no longer mainstream dressing as mighty composer, took hold of himself and wrote for his true destiny. He told me, some of them when they see me on the other side, you know. But that did not daunt him. He had took that path for his spirituality and he walked it proud, And he took the time off whenever anyone wanted to listen, to share with them the part of Ifa and being an Ifa devotee. I would like to thank a number of his close colleagues, and if I did not mention your name, it's not because he did not have any gratitude over the years for what you have done for him or with him. Luther, when we organized our women's organization, or put together the appreciation for him when he turned 80, Luther was the one who stepped forward. He said, Luther knows what to do and who to turn you to. And we got it done. Cool. When I had the conversation with Kurt, he made it his business to always check or ask what is happening. Mandela, because we had sent a letter and we got no response from Tuko. Mandela helped and took us up. And he talked about little Gypsy. Go and talk to Gypsy. Tell him I say it's little Gypsy. Call him little Gypsy. He'll understand what I'm talking about. And he thanked you for the gratitude, the patience, the love, and all that you have done for him. As I said before, if I did not mention your name, it's not because he did not appreciate what you have done. Also, Tuko North Zone, they also always support any and everything for Camposa. The women in the office, at Tuko's office, I'm not going to call no name, but you know who you are. Idudu darling. And all the different little T's he would use. He appreciates all that you have done for him, the love, the admiration, and everything that you all have shared over the years. He had a special interest in women, in the way that he always thinks that the women are the ones who are the backbone of all that is happening. The women hold it together. And he thinks that the women should be more appreciated for what they have been doing over the years. Everybody will have their own story about who he is and what he was today. His love for the art form he carried with him. While Baba was with us, his concerns was for the younger ones and what they will not say in songs, always willing and open for a good word of advice. He enjoyed every moment to the fullest. His tenacity, he always believed that everyone should be given an opportunity. To all the organizations that he took his interest in to participate and to build, as the founder of the Traditional African National Association, as the president, and he was the last elected president, to the Emancipation Support Committee and all the other organizations. His pride and joy putting together the night vigil, as his daughter, men spoke about it, it was his pride and joy. And to keep our people grounded, because the night before emancipation, people weren't sleeping. The only disappointment he had is that there was never enough support for the program. Next year, we're going to be celebrating 10 years. A foundation will be opened in his name so that his dream and aspiration will live on. To the Barataria ball players, now that he's passed on the baton, please don't drop the ball. I will close with one of the things that he said to me, the last remark. He said, I love the life I live. I live the life as much as I love. His last quote to me. Thank you.
With a little less specifying, but to try and be brief, we try to keep in the time that we have been allotted. Thank you.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Morning. Where we feel what my butler. Você já perpetuou o botão. Yes, this is my brother, composer. First beginning, good morning to all my brothers and sisters here. I was born in St. Lucia, and the only times, the longest time I lived in my life is with my brother here. And he used to speak patois, I'm a patois man now. And anytime he met me, he would say, come on here, brother, how are you going? And I used to render only patois with him. And I went and carried prayer for him up in Mount Hope. He gave me a staff. He told me pass the staff to all the brethren in the room. Now, let you know, I ain't well. Yes, but this brother is common Fred composer. I happen to be with Fred, but he's Fred. And right now I have much great speech, because I have pain, I come in pain. And I live all my life in this country with family there, Raymond, Nordy, Marty, and Mommy used to speak patois to me, The mother used to speak patois to me. So when I come from St. Lucia in 1958, I used to go home like them and tell me lie down anywhere. And I used to be lying down, anywhere. And if I in sorrow, composer will find a way to come and look for me. My brother Raymond. And what I want to say right now, Compy, I used to call him Compy. I recognize he wasn't an ordinary person, I choose him for my friends and he chose me. And when I get the music, I get the news when I get burst into tears, I'm the one who shed the tears. I don't know for the other family were but Compy, Compy, thank you for choosing me for a friend, you know, and help me. He's the one who read the eulogy on my dear wife, you know, Sita Samuel, you know. And what I want to say this morning to everyone here, Miss I recognize the brethren, and I even forgetting the name because I am pain, you know. And Compy, go on, rest in peace in the name of Jesus. I say.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Echo. I'll be brief. I would like to think that I was possibly the last student of Baba Composer. I spent most days with him when he moved back to Barter before he went into the hospital. I got into this movement mainly because of him 9 years ago. I always had an African consciousness, but it accelerated when he and I began to come. Our relationship developed much closer, and I'm just here to keep a promise. I originally got into this very seriously 8 or 9 years ago when he came to my house with my dad there, and I showed him some of the things that I was doing, creating DVDs on the documentary of the history of African people on a global scale from an estimated timeline of 4 million years ago to now. And when I showed it to him, I told him that I was hoping that it would inspire somebody to eventually start taking educational tour trips back to Africa. And he paused and he stopped me in the middle of my track and said, "No, we can't wait on anybody. You have to do it." And it took me a few weeks, a few months probably, to really process what he was trying to tell me. Because at the time, I didn't really have the level of confidence that I have now that I could actually do it, even though I haven't been to the motherland as yet. Now that my confidence is soaring high, basically to sort of add on to what Sister Kinde said there about the youth, one of the last conversations we had was him trying to, both him and I tried to figure out how do we, as a people, those of us who are conscious of our African awareness, who have an African-centered frame of mind, how do we program the mother hen before she becomes the mother hen back into African liberation and back into our greatness? Because ultimately that's what he was about in the last 3 years of his life. I can't speak for his entire life. I could only speak for the last 3 years of his life when I was with him a lot at the time. And he was mainly about the liberation of African people and a movement back into our greatness. So I'm just here basically to let you all know that there are people like me out here who are here to continue this movement, to prove to African people, because of the severe brainwashing that we receive in the Western world, that Africans have civilizations around the planet before the white man's Adam and Eve. Ashe.
Peace and blessings. Greetings to all the Mauritian elders and the dignitaries. I am Shepson Apata, President of the Southern Emancipation Committee. As his daughter would have told you, he was instrumental in establishing a Yoruba cause at one time. We also benefited from his ideas and his participation in our Ibudun celebration. In tribute to his life, I would like to share with you the Southern Emancipation Committee Emancipation Affirmation, the recognition of how he saw life and how he tried to live his life. The Supreme Being created me, and guided by divine law, I liberate myself from all oppression. I honor the enlightened ancestors and strive to establish a legacy of unity, peace, and prosperity through righteous action. Thank you.
Alafia to everyone. Praise and thanks to the Most High for being here, for all of us being here. Now, Calypso and Calypsonians are lacking in their sacred spiritual originality. I repeat, Calypso and Calypsonians are lacking badly in their sacred spiritual originality. Now we know that out of that sacred spiritual originality came Calypso. Calypso was born out of that, right? And being as Calypso was born out of that, it was not maintained out of that. Now, everybody didn't come here to be Anglicans, everybody didn't come here to be Catholics, everybody didn't come here to be one thing. But knowing that every creed and race has to find an equal place, as I've said before, Calypso is lacking badly. I forgot to mention really, my name Umar Mohammed. I was a Calypso, being as I was a Muslim for 21 years, and then I was converted into Orisha, and my name Olaiwola Omakehinde Arisha Kunola. Right. Now, within my 41 years, because I started singing at the age of, singing Calypso at the age of 30, and it's now 41 years. So within my 41 years, out of that originality, I cannot recall a Calypsonian who died and have such a funeral service like this. Within my 41 years, I cannot recall Calypsonians going to any Orisha yard and having an Orisha service for Calypsonians, right? So, as I've said before, we are lacking badly in our spirituality. I say praise and thanks to the Most High, and I ask that the soul of whether a composer be blessed, be elevated, and be forgiven. I knew him, and we had many good understanding with each other. And to leave, I must sing a song as a Calypsonian. No, not a Calypso, listen. Just... Alright. Okay, alright. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Alright, okay. To leave, I must say that it gives me pleasure in being here and going through such an experience as a Calypsonian. That Calypso, not be Calypso just to be on a stage or just for a competition. Let it be Calypso so that we can continue with our culture. Thank you very much.
Beloved brothers and sisters, a lot of titles have been given to composer, which I always call compy. But there are certain qualities of compy that I haven't heard a lot about. Compy has a determination that very few people in this country have. He believed in that art form, and he was the head of that art form for many years. Trinidad Tobago Calypsonians Association. And when he didn't have the support that should have been given to that organization, he still continued with it. And he remained the head of it. And he was the very last member of the Calypsonians Association. Then piracy developed, which was affecting the artists. And he still held on to his organization, but then, after Shadow Singh, pirates here, pirates in the city, town, everything, a committee was formed called the Committee of 12 at Sparrow's Hideaway. And that committee began to demand certain things for that art form and the artists. And coming out of the committee of 10, emerged Tuko. And he was part of it. He was part of the Emancipation Support Committee, the Black Power Revolution, and he was an important person in those cultural things. Used to say, Brother Nunez, where's the next rally? And he gave up his all. And he was also not only a composer, he was a philosopher. So I want to have that recorded. That's why I came here, to say that. Thank you.
Alafia. Pleasant good day, everyone. I am Shelly Hendrickson, former four-time National Calypso Queen of Trinidad and Tobago, Assistant General Secretary on Tuco's National Executive, Vice Chairperson of Tuco North Zone. On behalf of the Trinbago Unified Calypsonians Organization, I stand proud in my 3 minutes to give thanks. And in Ghanaian, West Africa, that you say Medashi. So Medashi, to who I would call and who my sister and I, Lady Wonder, alongside my daddy all rounder, but my sister, Lady Wonder, and I would fondly refer to as Uncle Compy. Because, and put your hands together, a trailblazer, traditional composer, father figure, mentor, you name it, cultural activist, you name it, one of the foundation members who was instrumental in ensuring that the TCA, Trinbago Calypsonians Association, strove to be Tuco. Put your hands together. There were many others, but today we celebrate Uncle Compy, Mr. Fred Mitchell, Uncle Compy. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I would pray for the day when the Ministry of Education and all others, NGOs, would take up the child training. Because like we forget to disseminate that kind of child training information to the young ones. So we have a loose generation. But he come from the generation that I know, like all-rounder, when he said, Rupert, get in a corner. You couldn't stoops. You couldn't nothing. And in the same song, you're hearing chocolates. Mami nice like kain. Well, you know what? That is an attestation that Calypsonians, entertainers, but more so Calypsonians, we have a bit of madness that is societally acceptable in our society. Hence, the music is where it is going. Hence, the music of Calypso will be indefatigably written like he has through his lyrics and composition. Put your hands together for the lyrics, for the composition. Ladies and gentlemen, and even though Tuco might have made mistakes in the past, we as the present executive, it is our responsibility, it is our role. We to epitomize and make sure that their writings, that their teachings, and all those elders and icons remain as a fragment in society that will be culturally uplifting to not only this generation, but generations to come. I thank you. Ashe.
Pleasant morning to all, and I'll be very brief. In respect to the elders, my name is Clayton Blackman, and I'm representing the thousands of mentees that Baba Composer has mentored over the years. I must say that I have learned quite a lot from Baba Composer. He has introduced me to many of the heads of shrines in Trinidad and Tobago, but I want him to know today that Tana lives on and the Emancipation All-Night Vigil will continue. Thank you.
Composer is a Calypsonian from small, an all-time life. And you see the child training, he left that with me. And today I'm going to play something for him.
And we are asking, please, that this kind of tribute be all tributes be short, but any tribute of that kind, there's a place at the cemetery where we will welcome that kind of. So please bear with us. We don't want that kind of tribute here right now. It's just for people who want to say something. We will allow any tribute of that kind will be accommodated at the cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A very pleasant good afternoon to the bereaved family, composer's wife, his children, his brothers and sisters, and the extended family, the Calypsonians, and the other entertainers who we have in the audience here. Now, I really wasn't going to talk and say anything. I left all the talking because I think that composer's daughter was most eloquent in saying all that you had to say. But since I am called upon to talk and to say something about composer, which I am very capable and competent of saying, because many of you may not know, but at one time before composer had all the other sons and daughters, I was his son. Yes. And hence the reason calls me nothing else but Little Gypsy. I have great-grandchildren now, and he still called me that. And that says a lot. And to me, I know that we are celebrating a life well lived. And I know that it's a celebration of a life, but in my heart, you know, I haven't even gotten over one set of sorrow. When I have to be saturated with even more. Last week, I lost another person who was instrumental in my upbringing, in the person of Superior, whom I have known all my life, literally. And today, we are here in a celebration of a life of another person who I have known almost all my life. And who has been instrumental in directing my life. I heard all the things that people said and how well he directed this and how well he did whatever he did and all the organizations that he helped formed. And I want to say that if I was an organization, you can simply say that he created me. Composer taught me just about everything that I know in Calypso. I used to be a master of ceremonies in a Calypso tent. I still am capable of doing it if I so choose. And I want to tell you that the first opportunity that I got to do it, it was because of him. He saw the potential in me. And he had a knack for seeing the potential in people. And so, I am not singular in that discovery of composer's ability to take, you know, the raw material and make something out of it, because he has molded me into what I am. And Cindy, I know where your heart is, and I know how you feel, and I want to tell you that be courageous. He has lived well. He has done a lot for a lot of people. You know, Al Sharpton once said to me, one day we were talking, before funeral, and Al Sharpton said to me, he said, you know, Gypsy, he said, one of the hardest things in life that I ever have to do is when I go to eulogize a black man who has done nothing. And I keep that in the back of my head all the time, and you know, the thing about it is that we are eulogizing a man here today who has done everything, so much so that you have to ask people not to come and say all the things that they can in fact say about him. And that's not too often. It's not too often that we will find such a person. And I am extremely happy that I have had composer in my life from since I was about 13 years old up to this very day. I have one regret, that at the time when he went to the hospital, I had to be out of the country and in the United States. And I know that Ricky and they called me. I was one of the first persons that they called because he asked them to call me. I'm very sorry that I wasn't able to be here, but I'm here today. And I just want to say that for all that you have done, not just for me, and not just for our fraternity, but you cause black people today to look into themselves and see that black people are people. And the brainwashing that they have instituted on us cannot hold any longer. This is one of the few times that I have been to a racial funeral where we don't have some white man on a cross where somebody tell me that that is Jesus. And we are proud of ourselves, and I want you to know that the person who have caused all of that today is the man who lies in front of us. That's composer. And I want to tell you that I am very proud of him because we share in a lot of ways the same ideology. Religious, calypso, and otherwise. So my dear brother, my dear father, my dear inspiration, I want to tell you that I'm proud of you, and there are lots of people who are proud of you here today, and we know that your spirit is going to be in the right place. May the ancestors open their arms to welcome you home. God bless you.
Good day, members. That's my uncle in the box here. Some of the family know me. I remember in my early age in Cedros, a lady they call Miss Lunas, well, we was there. She cooked some karaili. And I say, boy, me I want that eat now. And uncle told me, he say, you allergic to it? I say, no. He say, well, you want to eat dry bread, or lie down by it. And that worried me. Today, I really love karaili. I'm 58 years. The 5th of November make me 58 years. So today, when he died, I was 58 years and 1 month. My father died at the age of 96. You know, we grew up together and see just 2 things I understand about this man. He mentioned 2 things to me. Some are wise, some are otherwise. And when he told me that, I felt a sort of way, I didn't take it in. And another thing I understand about him, only listen good, and hear nobody say that. He had 2 things, and it's 2 words. It had 2 words. One is empathy, and one is sympathy. Empathy means putting your foot in somebody's shoes and understanding life. And sympathy means sympathizing with people. And this man had that. And one of the things that I like too, you know, when he used to compose, it's how he used to treat me and teach me. And you see the dress, he loved to tell me when you're dressing, make sure you put your shirt in your pants and dress pleasant and speak to people pleasant. Thank you.
Pleasant. Well, composer teach me to say Alafia. My name is Winchot Grant. I grew up in the area of Bataria. On the behalf of the ball players, the Bataria community, it's a very sad day to us. And I didn't himself know composer. I used to visit him in Arima by his son Ken. And it's only seen him walking in the morning I get to realize he up there. And Miss Composer tell me she want to go back in her house in Bataria. And I know that was the wishes of Composer. And when Kenny called me and he said, Winnie, I have to call you and tell you Daddy passed away. I want to tell you something where Composer was proud of me about. I cannot read and write. And Composer used to take me to meetings in a place in Belmont. And when he asked me to go up and say something, that is why I say I have to say something. Plenty people used to get a problem when I say I cannot read and write. But the spirit from Composer going up and wrong him, I have real hopes in myself that Composer in that box and his wife and his son could tell you, he will proud to see. I'm not in jail. I never do anything to hurt anybody, but the inspiration, the first time I know Cedrus, the carcass, is through Composer. Carry me and make me stand up by a coconut tree and tell me, you know where you're standing up there? I say, well, Compo by the sea and a coconut tree. He say, well, it's 12 miles from Venezuela. And that is how I get to know a place down so is Venezuela. Composer carry me, pick me up by Chin Fat Bakery on 6th Avenue. I went to buy bread for my wife and my children. And Composer say, hey, Winnie, give me 1 minute. I say, Composer, go with bread, but he's a man, you can't tell him no. And I jump in that car, that black 280C. And that was the mistake. We hit him over. Mr. Cambon will remember. I don't know if Mr. Cambon could remember that. Composer came in Hilton, and I have to cut by saying this. When he came in Hilton, a man I had great aspiration and listening to. Composer came in Hilton, and when they bring out the dinner, I saw him know what to do. They bring the Callaloo first, I drink it. And when I done drink it, I see the food come. And then I see a mister come walking short with our glasses. And he says, small man, you know who is this mister? I say, Compo, don't tell me this is Dr. Benz or Cannon. He said, well, how you know that? I say, Compo, are you feeling like that the man? He said, well, that's the man. And Mr. Cambon and myself, 3 o'clock in the morning in Hilton Hotel, I in a room with composer and Benjo Cannon and the bread skilling composer.
Good day to everybody who is here. I am composer's eldest son, and I don't think anybody could have put it over any other way than Mr. Wayne Grant. To show the kind of person that my father was. I have to say, here lies a gentleman who came from a village, Carcass, with nothing, went up into Port of Spain, distinguished himself by forming and being part of a lot of groups, too numerous to mention. If we were to start to count the amount of groups that composer was instrumental in being a part of in the foundation, it will be weekend before we move out of here. We have limited time here, so even my time is short. This is a gentleman who came from Carcass with nothing and rose to be respected. The awards and they really meant nothing to him. It's the respect that the people had for him as an individual and his visionary. He was a visionary kind of person, looking at things from a different perspective, always challenging you to be more, to be bigger, to be better, to do something with yourself. All right? As Viola said, there is, while doing that, there is a compassionate side of him that, you know, most people would not recognize. And I want to say to this lady sitting here, my mother, the person who has been with him, I want to give only a small story. It's short. I was talking to one of my, well, two of them actually, two uncles, who were telling me that my mother, in growing up, she met composer at the tender age of 12 or 13 or something like that. And that they were sent with her mother to chaperone to make sure that composer didn't get close to her because they realized that she had a liking for him. So the two brothers would always be assigned to protect. And composer, being the man that he was, he got so close to the two brothers that he would buy them out. And still get at what he wanted. That's the kind of person that he is. He gets at what he wants to do, and he gets it done. And I want to say a special tribute also has to be paid to this lady here, my mother, for the 65 years that she devoted to him. And he said it right. She knew no other man. She was with no other man except composer for her lifetime. So she deserves some commendation for the role that she played in taking up in the adoption of Viola, who I think did an excellent job in terms of the eulogy. We decided to give Viola the chance to show the kind of upbringing that composer would have put into her. She was the last that would have passed under him in that kind of way. Alright, so I wouldn't keep it, I would say I'll keep it short. we are losing a visionary here, a man who is more than words. I myself can't say very much in terms, but is a man who always looking at a bigger picture and asking you to think outside the box, look at things from a different perspective. And so we're really losing somebody that I personally cherish and respected, continue to respect for my life. I will say no more. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. As people were contributing, I vividly recall an article that was written in Ellery Ipe magazine. That is a magazine that was published by the International IFA Institute of the International Council for IFA Tradition. The article was written by no less a person than our illustrious brother. And it surrounded the topic of the cycle of life and what it meant. And he cited the O as the focal point in the article and developed a number of very insightful thoughts about that O. Now, if we picture an O, there's no beginning point, there's no end. It's just a continuous cycle of stages as you go along. And it simply served to remind me this morning of what life, as we understand it as Ifa people, to be a continuous cycle. Our brother has completed a round, another round. And we are sending him off to the place from which he had come. And we know that at some point in time, in the course of that circle, in the course of that O, let's go back here. He will be back here doing some more of those things that he has done to help better the lot of humankind. Ashe. Let us now invite the spirit of Ogun, the pathfinder, to open the pathway for our brother's spirit to return to the place of the ancestors. I respect the spirit of iron. I greet the spirit of iron. It is with respect for you that I intend to render in my prayers today, Baba Ogun. I greet you warmly. Anyone who, while praising the immortals, omits the spirit of iron, is certainly wallowing in self-deceit. I am sure of this. The massive pile of iron that belongs to the spirit of iron is what I praise. The spirit of iron has two sharp swords, sharp as fire. Use one to clear an area to make a farm. The other sword the spirit of iron uses for cutting a path in the forest from one place to another. Baba Ogun, we are aware that you were the pathfinder. You were the first spirit that opened the pathway from heaven to earth. That all who have come since have followed that path. Those who have returned to the heavenly place have also followed that path. We ask you, Baba, to clear the pathway this morning. To clear the pathway for our brother to return comfortably and quickly to the arms of his ancestors.
Abu Rabuyi, Abu Sikhi. Mujuba Uludumari, Mujuba Uri, Mujuba Iya Ati Babawi, Mujuba Oya Ati Obatala, Mujuba Chongo Ati Oku, Mujuba Oromela, Mujuba Chango Kauka, Beti Ubakuso, Mujuba Egungo, Embele Uludumari, Mujuba Koda Ati Asheda, Mujuba Orohomi, Mujuba Jibona, Mujuba Wana, Obala, Uyanuba, Babalo, Shagalo, Risha. I salute all families, in particular our dear brother family who have invited us to celebrate with his return to Arun. I salute all friends, well-wishers, all communities of the various ranks and file. I am going to ask a question: why are we here? It might seem a little odd because of all the talk that took place. I ask, why are we here? Apart from celebrating the life of our dear brother, should we not reflect on our lives, regardless of spiritual persuasion? Because when your time should come, will you reap the benefit that has been offered by your spiritual persuasion? And if the answer is no, today is a day that you can start putting things right. So I'm not only speaking to the IFA community, but to all communities, because today the officiating is done on the IFA, and another day, at another place, and another time, it is a different community of which we have relatives and friends. And the support is so required. According to our tradition, in the Udu, Ogbe, Uganda, or Ogbe, Uganda, a person can decide that he or she wants to go to heaven. Sorry, go to earth. In the Udu, the Rusu Erite, that is in our scriptures, when I call there's different parts of our scriptures, because just as all the Christians have their Holy Bible, and the Muslims have the Holy Quran, and the Hindu have the Bhagavad Gita, we also have our scriptures. So who didn't know that today? At one time I didn't know. Because there is nothing secret in the universe. It is only secret when you don't know. So at one time, it was secret to me. So according to the Udu, the Rusu Erite, Oludamare, meaning God, could call a person and say, I am sending you to earth as an ambassador. Okay? And as the spirit kneels before God, it chooses its parents. It chooses, and as such, it chooses its ethnicity. And because Ududumare will grant it, we as human beings need to be guided when we refer to other ethnicities, because we might be going against God by virtue of that. So we need to be wise when we speak of different ethnicities. That person also chooses his or her gender, which cannot be changed. He chooses his likes and dislikes, his taboos, the things that he should not do, that become spiritual poisoning. He or she chooses how long he or she will stay on this earth. However, in the Udu, Ika Ufun, when the divinities were coming to earth, they asked, will Ududumare grant long life and prosperity for them to complete their assignment on earth? And they were given 16 lords. And they started, some of them started to bring the lords. and some of them started to die. And they started to blame our chief prophet, Oromela. And Oromela pleaded, it is not I causing it. How many times a person will accuse you? And you're crying in your voice by telling it's not me. And the elders came and they confronted Oromela. How many times people will confront you and you're pleading, you're on your knees, begging them to believe you? If a consultation was done and it was pointed out, it is because they were breaking the laws. Many a times we break the laws and we can cause ourselves to have premature death. We don't want premature death. So, somewhere 7 to 9 months or 40 weeks before the 8th of June 1935, our dear brother went and kneeled before Holy Mary. But apart from that, he did or he did not do his sacrifices. And when he reached Heaven Gatekeeper, Onibode Olorun, he made mention of his destiny on earth. And it was sealed and erased from his memory. And he passed through the 7 outer hills, through the land of the Abiku, through the land of the Yorubas, and he was birthed. Depending on what his parents did, the priest, others, himself, knowingly or unknowingly, as an individual or as a group, would have determined what his life would have been on this earth. So, many times when we arrive here with talents, because at the gateway, many divinities will approach people and give them virtues or talents. And when they arrive here, we will classify as dynamic forces and cosmic forces. Many a times, children will speak a certain way, and when we ask them, how do you know that? They say, I just know. Or they will demonstrate certain talents. And even at different times in our lives, we will demonstrate different talents. Many times people will be annoyed because as much as we may have the dynamic forces which will have us outstanding, we need to know how to control it. It will not put us in problem, but it will contribute to the well-being of ourselves and the community as a whole. Of course, the cosmic forces is a different issue. So, our dear brother arrived. Because he was not exposed to the tradition in a particular way, he applied his intellect the best way he knew. So what he might have gotten involved in is, by definition, Shango worship. And Shango worship, the burden of it will have started in the context of the belief system. If you cast your mind to the African continent, because in keeping our tradition, Okanran, Uganda, life started in a place that we call Nigeria. Because in that Udu, I will kind of make it short. It was Oromela, as he created the earth. He went and, which we say is in Nigeria, he sat at the spot considered the center. And he called the 16 major Udu. And he sent Ogbe Oikwe Warrior Day to the east, west, north, and south. And he told the other 12 to go diagonally. And he told them of a certain Ifa temple that would have been built on a hill. And he told them of 12 palm trees that will bear fruits every month. and he spoke of the Ikins, of one of them which we as diviners will use for consultation, and he spoke of using the herbs of those trees for medicine, and so on. But if we go a bit to the still on the old world, if we think of the African continent, and we go somewhere north to Senegal, and we come down the coastline, down to Angola, according to what history says, I don't need to say what history says, limited as I am, that the slaves were brought somewhere from there. But life began in a place called Ife Wara, as Oromila would have said. But people spread and they practiced under the different divinities. So based on whether or not it was British, Portuguese, Spanish, Protestants or Catholic, and depending on the needs of the plantation owner, taking into consideration security, slaves were so placed in different parts of the world, of the New World. And based on the religious practices of the various plantation owners, we had birthing, Shongo worship, Lokeme, Santeria, Kamperley, Wimpy, Voodoo, and so on. So our dear brother, being exposed to the local practice that we call Shongo worship, that is what we are going to do. Because Uludamari will not allow a person to be born anywhere in the world and abandon them. So even if they do not belong to the Ifa tradition, it does not mean that the Godhead will not allow you to communicate with him like some mean. Later on, our brother went and he received Ifa initiation. And when he received Ifa initiation, means that he connected with a priest from the continent. He got a birthing Udu. And that Udu spoke of him being here in a particular way. And because he came here in a particular way, sometime thereafter, he received the title of Awishe. And Awishe in our tradition, regardless to where he is, I say he, I didn't say she, where he is in the world, he is a spokesman among the community. I will say spokesman, but he brought it in music and singing. And if you look back, okay, when some people laugh at me and they will give me jokes when we leave here. When we look at the Calypsonian community, and you go back to the old way, it was Ifa. Some Calypsonians maintain it. And when we go back to our brother, he was bringing Ifa messages in a different way. So where in the tradition, an Ifa message will consist of an Olowo, the client who goes for the consultation, the messages of Ifa, the advice, whether or not the client complied or did not comply, the outcome, whether good or not so good. And when you focus on his calypsos, he was bringing messages of Ifa. In the Udu Oikuagbe, it says there is no going out without a returning. So when the spirit arrived on earth, we say that there was a birth. So there was great preparation and there was great merriment. But if there is no going out without a coming, going out without a returning, just as we are here, in other places people say God calling back. Is that not to say that the spirit does not belong to the earth? So we all have to return. But as an Ifa man, he will not die. Awo never died. It is not to say that others will die, but the name of Awo will always be spoken of. And among the things we know about this goodly Awisi here, he will surely never die. He will only die when we stop calling his name. In taking his leave, if a consultation was made, and the Udu that spoke is called Obbe Iritek. So we must get an Udu for his going. In that Udu, it speaks generally that every human being on earth should take Ifa initiation so that he or she can have a blueprint that will guide him or her in this life. Because many times, the color of the clothes that you might be wearing might be why you may not be reaping the benefits of life. Sometimes certain foods that you are eating might be because why you are not reaping the benefits. It is called taboo. It is called spiritual poison. It is not to say that it is not good. Because there are people here who may say, if they eat peanuts, the skin will swell. But doesn't mean peanuts is not well. It's not good. So the Udu talks about everybody receiving it. But it also brings the message of our dear brother. So it confirms that he was an ambassador of Udu the Mari. And he leaves the message. We start by saying for his family, but by extension, it is not only his blood family, because we have extended family, and we have had many people who came here and spoke of the extended family. And I want to say this to his dear granddaughter, of which she said adopted from this very moment for you and every other person. Once a man mind you, he is your father. He is your father. It has nothing like step. He mind you, and the universe will recognize that and will bless him and bless you. But we need to think about this. Where we must sit and I feel comfortable. You are measured according to the scripture when you return, not by the amount of material things that you have amassed on earth, but the many smiles you have brought to people on earth. And from the many speakers I've heard, he has brought many smiles. Even if you put on one of his oldest calypso now, you're going to smile. And you're going to put yourself as one of the characters. And you will see yourself either as a very wise person or a very foolish person. And from his messages, it also gives you an opportunity to make amends. Having said that, again, if your time should come now, are you ready to receive what your spiritual persuader offers? Because everybody will be a judge. Everybody. Abu.
At this time, we'll proceed to do the commendation. And this will be the final part of our proceedings here. And we will then continue at the graveside. Creator, who has bequeathed the system of Ifa to us, and have used this system for our rite of passage from birth to death, we have come before the universe to commend our brother Ifa Yomi to the holy realm of the enlightened ancestors. We We ask that you receive him to his rightful place so he can continue to influence and elevate his physical and spiritual family on earth. May eternal rest and blessing be granted unto him. May his perpetual light shine for us, and our light shine in remembrance of him. May he rest in peace in the house of the positive ancestors who sit at the feet of Holy Mary. Rest in perfect peace. Rest in perfect peace. Rest in perfect peace. Ashe.
We're going, heaven knows where we are going. We will get there. Heaven knows where we will get there. We know, cause the road is how we will get there. We hope that we are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know that we will get there, heaven knows how we will get there. We know that it will be hard, we know. Cause the road is free and deep as we get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know that. Oh la la, 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 I would now like to invite the viewing of the Awishi. Well, of course, I know it will be orderly, and I'm also asking that we maximize this invitation to view the body now, so that when we go down to the cemetery, which will become the shrine in one way, that we limit viewing there and keep it more so for the immediate family, so that we can do the remainder of the rites. I'm also requesting that I know that emotion can take control of some of us sometimes. So please, do not come and rap on the box. Nothing is wrong with rapping, but for this occasion, please do not rap on the box. Do not place anything inside the box unless you get one permission from one of the priests. Anything going there, the family, they will place it. I don't want anybody going to the hole, the grace, and doing anything. Do not place, do not go and throw anything in it unless you are invited to do so. Thank you very much. So you can view the body.
One other thing, before we proceed, a request has been made for the presentation of a video involving the Abhishek. So I think you perhaps could look at it and see what there is that you can take away of his life.
And we are yet to identify our music and label it as Trinidad music. Yet it is unique because it has its influence from the Orisha, which is the spiritual belief brought here by those people who were abducted and brought in this part of the world and called slaves. Their culture is beginning to influence our music. I see and I hear, and I respond to it. And I recognize also all those who respond to it without even recognizing that they are responding to it. We need an entire month to express our spiritual beliefs and to express
And give me a good study again. Right.
Right. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. What?
Coco. What's yourself, Coco? Boko zombies cannot make the distance.
Okay, so
Oi!
We are announcing the immediate family come around.
Immediate family.
Immediate family.
Wife, children.
and customs. You give us the structure, convention, and protocols. We adore you. We give you praise and thanks for Orisha and natural spirit, who kept our universe fit for life as we know it now. We give thanks for the genes and guidance of the ancestors who allow us to make the cycle of life complete our mission. To Oya, the keeper of the ancestral realm, the computer of things, the one who allows things to be reborn, we salute you. We honor you, Holy Ile, the earth, for sustaining us in life and providing that final resting place as we transit. Ile, Holy Ile, we commit our brother, how we see Epayomi, also known by many other names, to include Fred Mitchell. To you at this time, may his body energize the earth once more to this end. We give praise and respect to all the spiritual energies that dwell in Ile and await our brother body as Oya guides his spirit over the river to the land of the ancestors. May he be well received. May he be well accepted. May he be well accommodated. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Greetings. Akasa, Aboraboye.
Of what?
I'm just going to say what is being said. We welcome him. Odomari welcome him. The nations welcome him. The ancestors welcome him. It's great to receive him back to where he came from. May his life on earth here that he has spent with all of you all may be remembered. May it be an upliftment of each one of you all here today. May the memories that he will leave with you all will never go silent or go dormant. As we receive him, we said Ashe. We said Ashe. We said Ashe. Each one of you remember this day and remember what you came on earth to fulfill. And anyone needed any advice, seek spiritual guidance. We have among us plenty leaders, Babas, Olowos, elders, Ianifas, Olorishas. Seek guidance from the elders and all around us. We all came here to celebrate the life of our great brother, our father, our loved one, our uncle, our all that he came on this earth to fulfill. Let his memory continue to live on in our hearts, in our prayers, in all that we portray and emulate on this earth. I said Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.